Move the screen? No. We're going to move the screen. You know, when I signed up today, I didn't think I'd be breathing heavy. Whew.
Here we are.
Yeah, here we are. Here's what we're doing. It keeps moving on me. Just keep it straight. Right there. No, right there. See, there we go. That's better. All right, Dave.
Hello, Mike. Why are you out of breath?
Well, I'm out of breath because you said we had 5 minutes, so we went and did lunges. I don't like that. That was not fun. Where'd my book go?
They hurt.
Those lunges are not good.
No. So there's a contest I'd like to do where we do a mile of lunges.
A mile of lunges?
Yeah, probably like next Sunday.
Why would you like to do this? Why? What's driving you?
Because it's beautiful now.
The weather?
The weather.
Okay, I can sit and enjoy the weather. I don't
but you
have
could do
to.
lunges for a mile. Have you ever done that?
No, I did
So
lunges for like 48 feet.
It was probably twice that.
Oh, good for us.
But think about it. Like you could be like, yeah, I just completed a mile of lunges. You could say that. At some point.
I could,
like,
yeah.
I did that.
Put that on my resume.
I'm thinking maybe next Sunday at
Been a
Old
lender for
Tibbetts
17
track.
years, and then
If you want to join us,
mile and a half. No.
it's all about training. We're training for something, so we'll train. We just trained for the mile lunge thing.
And then you're training for a half marathon.
A couple of them. It's just there's 2 coming up immediately.
So that's a full marathon you're doing.
Well, one just a half, and then an ultra half the following week. So
there's a half and an ultra. What's the difference between a half and an ultra half?
So the Shiprock is just a simple half marathon, just 13 miles. When you get into ultras, they're usually trails, and they're a little bit longer. So an ultra half is 13 miles or 15 miles.
Okay, so it's not only.
But then there was an ultra half I did called the Devil something down yonder in Cuba, and it was 18.
So they don't know they're half.
It's just ultra.
Half of something.
Yeah, it's just we
stop here because we have no more trail.
Yeah. We ran out.
Yeah. Hi everybody, we're here with coffee with Mike. Dave Dailey with San Juan Realty has been kind enough to join us on this one. I'm excited to have you on here.
I was told it was donuts with Mike, but it's amazing coffee.
I'm excited. You've had some really great perspectives that we kind of pre-interviewed, kind of prepped on. And one that stuck out to me, a theme that stuck out to me is that the odds are stacked against first home buyers right now. Do you remember that conversation where they come into it and it's just give me a little bit on that one.
Not only do I remember that conversation, but all night long I lamented over that conversation.
Tell me about it.
Not really, but
give it no second thought. He was like, oh yeah, no, I remember. I wasn't happy with that.
So, yeah, thanks for doing this, Mike. I think it's a pretty cool service, and I admire your drive and your desire to want to push, especially local conversations, and especially with realtors, because we're could be a glum lot sometimes. So
it can be rough. I mean, a lot of conversations I'm having are it's rough right now. It's dry, or just the deals aren't coming together. And then you finally get a deal that comes together, and then you bring in that next layer of these first-time home buyers scrimped and saved, and they pushed for just the down payment and maybe some closing costs. And then they're hit with another thing.
First-time home buyers right now, in my opinion, are probably it would just be such a tough transition. It's doable. People always have to buy, always have to sell homes. So yeah, right now the market is probably more best described as a nobody market
versus a buyer's or seller's market.
Yeah. Because nobody really wins right now, and it's been like that for a while. So we're starting off transactions with that kind of theme of, you know, we cannot, in San Juan County, it's really hard to find a home for $250,000.
Right.
An entry level home is now around there.
Yeah.
So we take that, and that kind of payment is a couple $1,000.
We're sitting at 15 to 18, depending on where it's at, upwards of 2,000.
So you're doing that. Our industries have fairly shifted in this base into more retail. So so a lot of the people that we get to qualify and help serve are people of more, just the income is a medium level, and the problem that I see is that medium level of where most people are at, it's such a broad level. So, and most of us fit in more the lower end of that. So then we're having to sell our cars, especially these kids in their 20s trying to have a life. They're selling cars to be able to get down payment, and then everybody hits with more and more fees and all of the things that it costs to purchase a home. And then also on the seller side, like they're wanting to get what we need to get out of this house. Like, I owe this much, I need this much. And so then we're starting a conversation off by most of the time asking the sellers to contribute funds to help with close.
Right.
Because what most buyers aren't aware of is there's really two types of closing. There's your closing, and then there's our closing.
Okay.
And everybody, we just talk about it in terms of closing. And most buyers aren't aware that it just costs money. And so if money is the problem, it's going to be the problem. And we're starting the conversation in 2026, buying a home on a rough foot. So it's hard to see transactions go through where you can serve them appropriately and people are happy at the end of it.
Sure.
I mean, they could be happy with your service, my service, but I'm not happy with a $2,000 a month payment for a house that needs a whole bunch of stuff.
Right. So they're going in with these hopes and dreams, and they come into house, they've sold a car, they've cut everything out of their life to be able to have the money to get into the house. Then they get into the house and there's work that has to be done. And there's just that almost like a disappointment after the fact. Not quite buyer's remorse, just like it missed the mark maybe in their expectations.
Well, the mark is set low. Okay. Because that's what it is. And we're trying to put, what do they call it? Lipstick on a pig or whatever. I don't know why I just did that.
There's somebody somebody's connected.
I can't see if anybody's lipstick on a pig, who I'm talking about.
Again, they're dressing up these transactions, right? We could say it, the mass media, us in our role trying to gain more viewers, more buyers, more leads. We're trying to dress up the process as an industry, and then people finally get into it, and it's just not as pretty as the advertisement said. So you're just disappointing people as we go. And I
leave that to the mortgage fellas.
Oh, thank you. I really appreciate that, guy. I'm all the numbers. They have to live with that house. I just do the numbers.
But really, it's that, and we talked about it yesterday. It's this layer of entitlement that we all have.
Yeah.
And it's a forced entitlement. But entitlement's not we have rights, sure, certainly, but it gets really frustrating when it is just all about money. No matter what, how we do as realtors, how successful we are, it's the money. It's follow the money, and that's a tough one, especially for a guy like me, who I'm not motivated by money.
Sure.
So that's where I find my success is in a market where I know I get it. Yeah, you're making $18 an hour and buying a house that needs a whole lot of stuff, and I've been blessed to be able to really serve people and help out on that. So my perspective is more more of that, where at the end of this deal, I want to at least be able to watch their kids grow up, right, and not have that kid flip me off because I'm that realtor that did their parents dirty.
Right. Right.
So
they don't have a bunch of oppressive things in the house that makes them just resent you. You know,
right.
Dave was the guy that got me into this house, or Mike was the guy that got me into this mortgage. And, you know, I tell people, I don't want you looking at that mortgage statement every month going, wow, I get to eat more ramen noodle this month just because Mike pre-qualified me. Mm-hmm. You know, it's trying to look long term, which it's tough in this industry. You said it, you know, money is the major motivator. It's the main drive in the industry. Like everything is a business transaction. But unfortunately, we see the people that it's personal. And that's the hard part is, well, we know these people, we know their struggles when we put them in this house.
Yeah.
And we want to avoid that struggle for them. And so this entitlement, I mean, what do you mean by entitled? Why are people what are they feeling entitled to?
So, well, think about it. I mean, the seller side.
Okay.
You have your house, and you're most of the time we're emotionally tied to the home. Okay. Right? You love your home.
Yeah.
And so we want to get the if we have to sell it, or we're moving, we make the decision. Okay. We want to make sure that we're going to get the absolute most out of that. Right. So we hire somebody who we feel that's going to do that for us. Okay. That person is going to do, most of the time they do just that for a fee. They start explaining all of the things that they'll do. Mm-hmm. And then, oh, cool, by the way, we would like that you cover the fees for whoever buys this house. They're going to hire a realtor, and they would like to get paid also. And they're going to be asking you if that's okay. And you can say no, but it's better if you say yes, or however that they say that.
Right.
And then, oh, cool. Well, we probably going to have you also pay half the closing costs.
Right.
And then, but be prepared because it's kind of a tough market. So, you know, some kids might want this house and going to have help with closing costs. So just be prepared. So you're looking at 9% or whatever, okay, just to sell your house. So we're going to be entitled in that view. We're entitled because, well, now wait, I'm paying for everything. Mm-hmm. Well, but you're telling me I don't have a say in this?
Right.
Oh, and now I got to put in a new heater? What's going on? And then the seller or the buyer is same in reverse. Well, what do you mean I have to get a loan for $250,000 for this house that I got to learn how to do all this stuff for? And it's not always this case.
Well, these are the factors that are up against it, right?
Yeah.
You have a seller who gets an idea. Hey, I'm going to sell my house. I've lived in it for a while. My family grew up here, but I got to move. So the market's telling me values are high, and I go and I have a perceived idea. You know, the neighbor's house down the street, I'm pretty sure it sold for like $600,000. Well, my house is bigger, and I think it's newer, so I'm thinking I'm at least $750,000. Mm-hmm. Right? They start putting these numbers in their head, and then they get connected with a realtor who does the cost market analysis, tells them what, you know, the different levels, because, you know, you guys make sure, hey, this is top dollar if we're pushing for top dollar, or here's the middle of the road. And if you want it to sell fast, we're going to price it really low. So all of a sudden you have this like layer of disappointment in that, you know, perceived, you know, the entitlement of $750,000. I thought my house was worth $750,000. It's probably going to go it'll end up maybe around $600,000. Well, my neighbor sold for $600,000. Yeah. And then, you know, you have all these factors that come in. So all of a sudden you have a disappointed seller before they've even put the house on the market. Then you turn around and these buyers, they see themselves in this house. They see, you know, living here. They see their kids growing up here. And then we start throwing numbers at them. We say, well, this house is roughly going to cost you about this much per month. And then on top of that, I need down payment. And then if the seller doesn't pay us any closing costs, you have to come in with the closing costs as well. And in the recent, was it year and a half, 2 years, with kind of the new disclosure of realtor fees and how people are being educated, to a degree, many buyers may have to come in with buyer broker payment as far as the realtors representing them in the transaction. So it goes from an idea to, wow, like nobody's really making it in there, or at least there's a lot against them.
And then we're saying, well, but it's only money.
Sure.
It's only money.
Come on. Don't you see your family living here? Don't you see everybody growing up? It's rough. Well,
yeah.
Do you have any advice for anybody? Do you have anything that can maybe lessen the blow or open their eyes to it, to where they're going in a little bit more educated? What thoughts would you have? What would you share with people?
Sure. Yeah. What I tell everybody is you need to really ask all the questions and understand everything that's going on.
Okay.
And I can see, I sometimes see, like on Facebook and social media, how AI is going to come in and take over like buyers agents and listing agents, and maybe not. And I shouldn't say this, but I could see some benefit to that.
Okay.
for the cost, right? Yeah. However, I think that it's very important. Like when I have an injury, I go to. Sometimes I'll ask Stephanie about what I should do, but the truth is that she's really good at real estate and not a doctor,
right?
So I try to go hire somebody. When I have mental stuff, I go, after I talk trash about everybody, I go to a psychologist, whatever. Like I hire a professional and I do what they say.
Okay.
So that part is the tricky part, because most of the time, San Juan County, we have some really good people who are in the real estate industry, really good people.
Okay.
And so when you hire somebody, you listen to them. Okay. And that's what I see a lot is people, it's like, well, but my father-in-law said, like, we could do it this way. And yeah, you could, but just listen to the pro, because I have a license to practice real estate in the state of New Mexico, just like my doctor has a license, just like you have a license.
Yeah.
Like I can't, just go start doing mortgages because I say I'm gonna.
Sure.
I tried that and it didn't work.
Okay. So listening to the professionals. I mean, it's good to get advice and good to listen to advice.
Yeah.
But you're bringing that to the licensed professional and saying, hey, I've heard a lot of these things. You did your own research.
Mm-hmm.
Is there any value to this?
Mm-hmm.
And being able, for the professional to say, you know what, that is a good idea. However, here's where things are at. I get that all the time. It's foreclosures. People come at me and they're like, there's this great foreclosure. It's listed at $150,000.
Where?
Exactly. That's the thing. I'm like, wait a second. I haven't heard of it yet. Because if it's anything below 250, like you said, it's either a hot commodity or it's not going to make it.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the thing. They come at me with foreclosures. They've done their math and they did great on the math. And I say, okay, perfect. The math works out. But as soon as you go make this offer as a first-time home buyer looking at a government loan, the bank's going to say, no, we're not going to take that. Well, why not? It's a great offer. I qualify.
I'm entitled to it.
Well,
I'm paying all this money.
Exactly. I've done all the work to say that I can buy this house. Well, the bank's turning around saying this house is in major disrepair, and your government loan is going to require those repairs to be addressed. And the bank's already lost money on the foreclosure. The bank's already forked out a ton of cash, and they don't want to do more. And unfortunately, those two transactions, those two situations just rarely overlap. And it's disappointing.
Yeah.
And that's where we have to have those pre-conversations. I have those quick conversations of, I can get you pre-qualified, and we'll look at the loan programs that are best for your situation. But then we've got to pre-qualify the house as well. We find the house in that price range, and the house has to meet what your loan requires. And even then, the transaction itself has to meet it. So there's all this extra stuff that we have to go through and educate that, a quick Google search or a quick, Chat GPT inquiry it gives you a lot of data, but not the real expertise that professionals have. So it's tough. So listening, you're saying bring the questions, but listen to the professionals, talk to them.
Yeah, and understand, and don't move on from that topic until you understand.
Understand it. Okay.
Most of us are more than happy to spend as much time with anybody. It's our job. I love serving people, and part of that is making sure they understand the process.
And I say this to all of my customers, and I truly believe it. There's no such thing as a dumb question in this industry. I can give you a dumb answer. I really can give you just a nothing answer that's not going to help. But there's no such thing as a dumb question, because you're trying to understand it. And if something's not adding up, you have to ask the question that gets you to understanding. Mm-hmm. Am I wrong in saying that phrase? Do I need to craft my phrase better?
No, but I'm just wondering why you've never told me that.
Moving on to that. Well, and that's the other part, interviewing local realtors and interviewing locals, we have these conversations because we're here. Yeah. We do this transaction, and how that transaction goes, we're going to see these people again. Mm-hmm. We're in a smaller community. We're not in a big metropolis.
I'm too small town to even know how to spell it.
Yeah. We're not in a big city.
We're not. And there was a nightclub.
we had one a long time ago. But we run into these people at the grocery store. Yeah. We see them at our community events. And that's the thing, is we want to make sure that they're not going to throw a can of soup at us, because that's the only thing that they can afford now with that house we got them, right? So we have a different approach in our smaller town mentality that we have to be aware of. And the fast commercialized, like you said, the AI versions of all this, it doesn't have that same, I think, pressure. And again, I appreciate the pressure because it keeps me in check, right? I want to go to the grocery store. I actually had it happen once where somebody's like, Mike, look, I'm buying a steak, not ramen noodle. I'm like, oh my gosh, it's actually working.
Chuck roast.
Meat's meat. It's expensive, but they're not having to go 93 cents on a ramen noodle packet.
I think they're $1.33 now.
Already? Oh.
Yeah, already. Yeah.
Do you buy the fancy ramen? That's the real question.
No, I can't. I'm so poor I gave up carbs.
It's great for my weight loss, but I've got brain fog a lot of times.
Sometimes I get the ramen packet all splurge.
I'm going to go check the comments, see if we had any questions or thoughts come up. Having a great time here, sir. Just a great time.
Cheers.
Let's see what we got in here. Any comments, any questions? Please throw your questions in here. We've got about 10 more minutes. Love to answer your questions or
how many thousands of people or
thousands? I have 1/10 of 1,000, maybe.
That's spoken like a math guy.
I do mortgage math, so it helps.
No questions yet.
No questions, no comments. Couple of shares, couple of reposts. I appreciate it. I think I saw a competitor join. I'm so excited. I might have to call them later. Let me see what this is here.
Competitors.
Michaela Martinez said, hi, guys.
Hi, Michaela. She's a painter, as it turns out.
Oh, really? Mm-hmm. And as in commercial painting or artists?
We did a little paint night at San Juan Realty last night. And really? I got to sit next to her and watch her paint. She's real quiet and nice, and I'm not. I try to be nice, but quiet is not my thing. Your thing. Yeah, and I stress out about following directions and painting, but I'm shocked at how well it turned out.
Well, that's good.
Yeah.
Was it a paint by numbers or?
No, it was a paint by the lady. She just says what to do.
And you follow along?
Yeah. Okay. She goes a little fast, and then you stress out, and then suddenly there's mountains. I don't know how. Trust the process. It's another thing we say to our clients quite a bit, is trust the process.
Right. And so you followed the instructor and kept going with it.
Her name was not Dot, but I'm going to call her Dot.
Okay.
I followed her.
You followed
the dots.
Let's connect the dots. I thought it was following the bouncing ball, right? That's what we grew up with. Perfect. Well, Any other final thoughts, closing ideas, things that you'd want to share as a local realtor, as a person who's been in the industry for a quality amount of time with plenty of transactions under your belt?
I don't know. What we could Steph, what's another, what do I need to finish with? Stephanie Buffington just walked in.
She's the QB. She's trying to adjust our angle here.
You want to see my socks? They're rubber.
We like the big moss wall. That's what we're shooting for here.
Dailey told me to come in and point it down.
Hey.
Haley, she's great. She's all about the visual.
I told her on the last one I was watching, I told Stephanie that Haley would get mad.
It looks
I don't know if it's better or not. Okay, so the thing that I want to talk, if there are buyers or sellers out there, is when you're like looking at who you want to work with. Like, I'm a lot of fun.
Another realtor. Yeah.
She's too busy.
Some of the gestures that this office had. You guys are learning sign language?
We're a fun office, I'll tell you what. We just did lunges. I mean, Vicky did lunges in boots.
Oh man, she got the
gym, but different.
Yeah, hers were high boots, high heels. I got just a little bit of a lift there.
Yeah. So anyway, what I think I'd like to just kind of say is, if you're on the fence, have conversations, interview people. I am a great realtor, but I may not be your great realtor. And I'm okay with that. I'm not everybody's cup of tea. I'm way a lot, and I get who I am, and I know who I am, and I know my worth and all of that. But I also have grown to a place where I like to qualify people also and see if we're going to work out well together, because, like, for example, Vicky is my teammate, and she's calm, very concise, very sweet. And so some people work better with that. So I'm, and so I just think that you find the person, because this is, it's more than a transaction, though we forget we're only transaction brokers. But for some of us, it's more than the money that we can get. It's not even about the money. It's about the relationships that we can build, and be able to be comfortable, because I do like to have people come in and do lunges with, because it's fun, it's silly, and that's what I want. Yeah. But some people do just want a transaction,
Sure.
And so just I think the interviewing people and understand that we're all cooperating brokers. Like, we're not gonna, some of my favorite people in the world are realtors, and I want them to be successful. I want everybody to be successful. So we need to cooperate, because after you've bought your house and start having your kids, I'm going to be working with that realtor that helped you get into that for the rest of my time here.
Right.
Whatever that is.
You might help me buy my house, and that's the last time we have a deal together.
Right. But we don't need to beat up the realtor on the other side, because that person is also kind of my brother or sister.
Sure.
Regardless if I like them.
I mean, that's a brother or sister.
And we got to get through that. And they're going to, because this industry is so tough. And if you just only make it about the money, then you're going to have that kind of industry where it's only about the money. And it's terrible life like that, in my opinion.
Appreciate that opinion. It's real astute. Well, thank you so much, guys, for joining us. Dave, thank you so much.
Thanks,
for being
Mike.
here. Yeah, I appreciate
my haircut lady also, I just remembered, she wants to talk to you about your beard again.
Okay.
She's got a product.
I got a featured product. She can reach out to me on TikTok.
Thanks, Haley.
Woo! Appreciate the editing advice there, Haley. You guys have a great one.